Hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for watching, and it's time to paint arguably the coolest character in all of Star Wars, Boba Fett. Now this is the Daimyo Boba Fett model from Star Wars Legion, and I've done him as he first reappears in the Mandalorian with his armour all battered, scratched and bashed up before he fixes it at the start of his own series. Now that starts with a base coat, so I've sprayed in black and then I've gone over with a metallic colour, a lead belcher in this case, and that really will save you a mountain of time when it comes to that damaged armour effect. Starting off with Games Workshop of Bad and Black to get his robes to the state that he gets given them by the Sand People. So black leggings, you do your black kind of, I don't know if it's not really a cloak, it's kind of part of the outfit that's billowing behind him to give the model movement. So all those are black, but interestingly I don't paint the kind of undervest black. In the actual Boba Fett series, that undervest kind of under his armour panels is black. But when he first reappears in Mandalorian, it's his original armour, and that's that pale colour, so we'll do that later. So that's just one difference from kind of the box art, as well as the damaged and bashed armour. So all the areas black, including the T-visor on his helmet, and now we're going to start laying down the typical Boba Fett colours. All the colours will be in the top left of the screen, and I'm going to the painting guide there if you do want to use the exact colours, but obviously you can vary it absolutely depending on what you think looks good. Now when I'm putting the green down here, I'm not putting a solid coverage. As you can see, I'm skipping areas of the helmet and areas of the other armour panels that will go green because we want the silver to show through, and this is where that massive time saving is going to come in. Same with the dark red stripe going on his T-visor there. You can see I'm almost only hitting half of all the metallic areas, so just dotting the paint on areas. Now it does mean when you dot it on, if you dot a slightly thicker blob of paint, that's absolutely fine. Leave that thick blob because then it gives kind of texture to the areas where you're putting this paint on, because we're wanting it to look, bashed and damaged. If you were to do like a black undercoat and just paint the colours on in solid blocks, then you'd have to go back and put the metallics on top of that to start making it look broken down and rusty, and it is harder doing it that way, and this is definitely a time-saving exercise. So red onto his wrist guards, and obviously the visor if you've seen there, and then moving on to an orange colour. Now you could skip straight to the yellow, and I do put yellow over this later, but I wanted to just see what the colours would look like and build it up. So this really, you could skip this stage. This was me just seeing how it would look on the model. So I've gone for a nice hot orange colour, again making it so that lots of metallic are showing through. Now there are patches on the backpacks you might want to pick out in the either orange or eventual yellow colours you're going to do. So some of the rings around the rocket, it's around the sort of nozzles at the bottom, and I've picked up that metallic kind of repair patch across the back of that rocket as well. But as much or as little as you want, and I've done the knee rockets as you can see there. So quite a vibrant colour. We will go back over that later with yellow like I said, but moving on to the leather straps now. And I've just taken a flat earth colour. This is the same colour I used on my Mandalorian painting scheme the other week, because I do like to try and tie the colours in across all the models in the army, even if there's variants. So putting this colour that I'm using for leather across all his straps and pouches, and that really will tie the army together. So in my Stormtrooper painting, I've used some colours in the Stormtroopers, for example, or the Rebel Troopers that I've done that I will use on these troopers as well. Now talking about that vest we talked about earlier, so this is the bone white colour that we're using for the vest that mounts his armour on. And again, if you watch the scenes where Boba Fett comes back in Mando, that vest is very much pale, and then he obviously alters his armour and repairs it and everything later and puts a black vest on to match his underclothing. Now with the underclothing, black is really hard to kind of highlight an undercoat and bring up. So what I'm doing is putting on a German grey from Vallejo, and this is really very, very close to black. And I'm just dropping this onto the raised areas of all the cloth. So leaving that black in the recesses, putting this on the raised areas as kind of a highlight layer. Now, I'm not going to go super highlighted on this, and this is just to show you the wet palette and show you the difference in the two colours. You can see the black on the top, the German grey slightly beneath. Very, very close colours to each other. Now you can go from that German grey and bring up and even end up highlighting white on black. I'm not going to do that because I want a muted effect. Now picking out a couple of areas of gold, belt buckle onto the centre vein. Nothing too excessive there, but just to give a bit of interest. And again, as I talked about earlier, onto the yellow, and this is going over those orange areas. Now I do leave a little bit of the orange areas showing through, so I'm just putting the yellow on top of the orange, leaving a little bit of orange showing through around the edges, but you don't need to do that, and you could skip that orange stage earlier and go straight to the yellow, but it does give a little bit more depth on quite a vibrant colour. So essentially we've covered now all the base paints we're going to be putting down on the model, so a fairly simple and quick colour scheme. Now it's onto the washes. So you notice I haven't done anything on the metallics on his Jaffe stick yet. So we're using a Nuln Oil because I just want to make it look off metal, because again in the series you can't really tell whether this whole stick is metal or whether it's a mixture of wood or whatever, but I want to use just that Nuln Oil to give a different effect. So that'll stick there. And taking, this is a sepia game wash onto the base. I haven't shown how I've painted the base because again, that would be your own choice to match your own basing on your own model. But I'm using the sepia wash because every other model in the army that is on this base has had this dirty Vallejo sepia wash. Now I'm not putting the Vallejo sepia wash over Boba Fett because it is a really dirty wash and it puts a lot of mank into the cracks and gaps, and I wanted a slightly different effect. So I'm using Games Workshop's sepia shade. It gives a similar tone on top of the model, but without the dirty effect of the Vallejo. Now, mostly I prefer the Vallejo dirty effect from most armies, but I wanted Boba Fett a little bit cleaner than I've painted others. But again, as I said earlier, the Stormtrooper painting I've done, if you watch that video, I did use the Vallejo wash over the Stormtroopers because I wanted them dirty. Boba Fett, I wanted it slightly different. Now, this is with the wash dried. He is slightly shinier than he is in real life because of how the light's picking up on there, but it's dried nicely. Put a little bit of shade into the gaps and cracks, toned down the colours that we've put on the armour a little, so it's taken some of the vibrancy off the colours, but really given some depth in there and it's settled into the gaps. Now, I'm just going to go back and reinforce some of the highlight layers. So I'm taking the grey that we've used on his clothing already and just putting that on the real top line areas where the light hits the model, and now that really looks like lots of multiple colours onto that grey and really sort of matches the box art they've done, and we haven't gone super bright. Now I'm going to do the same thing with all the other colours, taking just the yellow and putting that on the really top areas where the light would hit, moving on the same with every colour we're going to do. So you're going to see this here. Now the reason for that technique is you've done the base colour, you've done the wash, and that has knocked back the vibrancy of all the colours slightly. So if you take the original colours you painted with and put them just on the raised areas, just on the like gaps or folds on the armour, and just where the light's going to hit, etc., it looks like there's 2 or 3 colours on there and you've put a lot of effort in. So it really saves you a lot of time there. And you can see when I'm doing it on the armour there, I'm only putting it on where the colour already exists. In this case, I'm using the red, and sort of covering 50% of where the colour already is, and then it looks like an effective highlight. The same with the leather, the same with the yellow on the packs and rockets, etc. So a really time-saving way of doing it, and a fairly simple colour scheme for what is a very, very nice model. Some real dynamism in this Boba Fett model. Relatively easy to paint, but a real good bit of fun. And that's it. Once you've finished these simple quick highlight layers, bit of a blast of varnish as I do in my case because these are gaming figures, and that's model done. I hope you liked that. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube jazz. Check out my other videos. I will be drifting off Star Wars for a while, but I'm sure when it gets to May, I'm going to do a Star Wars month. That's my initial plan. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on another video.